money, and I took that money and I bought live blue crabs. But my customers grew very fast. What I realized was that a lot of people that was living in Charlotte at the time, they were from Baltimore and it was also from like Charleston, like off the coast. And so live blue crabs was kind of a nostalgic food for them, and they couldn't find it anywhere else in Charlotte area. So I provided that for them. Then they wanted more things. They wanted more seafood, fresh shrimp, fresh fish, oysters, etc. So of course I sourced all those things. That quickly turned into a seafood market in June of 2020. And by October 12th of 2020, I had a restaurant that was inside of my distribution center / seafood market. And that's how this whole journey actually began.
I was there when it was nothing, when it was just a project, a fixer-upper. I didn't see the vision until he got in there with his kids. And I sat there and watched this building, the whole idea of the restaurant manifest. When I walked into that building and saw what he did to it, no help, just himself and the children. His children were always at the forefront of, hey, this is what I'm going to do for them. That restaurant and all of his ideas are done with his kids at the forefront.
When I first started the restaurant, I wasn't planning on being an actual cook. I hired a chef and I gave him the vision. I wanted him to create all the things that I thought would be, good for a seafood boil restaurant. And here's the cool thing was we had a lot of fresh seafood in our seafood market. So I figured we can source for customers for fresh seafood, source for the market, and also take the market fresh seafood and take it to the kitchen. Long story short, he and I really didn't work out, so after 2 weeks of working there, he was gone.
So I ended up moving to Charlotte in 2021. I asked if he needed some help after a key employee left abruptly without notice. I offered to fill the gap until he replaced that person. So I said, hey, yeah, I'll move there for 90 days.
That left me to actually take up the cooking responsibilities. The blessing in all that was I was able to start creating all these different recipes and all these different brands from 5 different seafood restaurants. I've got 5 brands. I have 5 different restaurant concepts. I have a dozen or so seasonings, a dozen or so sauces as well. And so the blessing again of being stuck in the kitchen, it just put me into this space of just creating. And to this day, I'm still creating new menu items. It also gave me an opportunity to be able to kind of leverage all the things I created and turn it into a consulting company. So I'm able to take a concept and put it into a restaurant who needs additional revenues. A restaurant that's failing and they want me to take it over. Or just in general, just consulting on how to do certain things as far as efficiencies.
He can literally, from the time an order hits the kitchen, in 8 minutes, he can produce a fresh seafood boil bag with crab legs, shrimp, extra, extra seafood that you order, comes with corn, sausage, potatoes, 8 minutes, like that.
How to prevent waste, how to, manage employees, how to figure out how to operate as an operator. So all those things I've been able to learn and just simply been in the business for 5 years. So when I first started cooking, because my chef and I didn't work out, I'm in the kitchen and now I'm starting to understand food a little bit better. Cool thing is I got history of food because my mother's Creole. And so I've been tasting this amazing kind of food my entire life. And so now I'm in the kitchen, I'm creating these dishes, and I'm starting to hear that customers are saying this food is amazing, one. They started saying it tastes like love in this food, and all these things, all these accolades, and I'm like, I'm just making food, right? But it appealed to me that there was more of a talent with making the food than I thought I had.
He got those seafood boils and bowls out to you, and they were immaculate, as if this was a 7-star restaurant, because it was. To me, it was. And it was 7-star hospitality. That's what Rexford White brought to your table. Those were the meals that you took home. You ordered from that restaurant, you ordered again and again and again.
I started getting amazing reviews. I'm talking about like long stories of how good the food is and how it reminded people of home and how next time they're in town, they're coming back here. After a couple months of that, I started realizing I had something pretty special. So my most memorable experience is just the collective of customers. In fact, funny story, yesterday I had a customer call me and she goes, online it shows your clothes. I said, what restaurant are you talking about? She goes, Seafood Boil NC. I said, Seafood Boil NC's been closed since 2023. She said, yeah, I've been sick for a while. I didn't know you were closed. This lady lives in Charlotte. So she must have had a pretty debilitating situation to where she didn't even know that we were closed for the past 2 years. Like, often get calls from people who have had my food years ago, and they're like, man, it's amazing. So that's my customer stories. Yeah, the motivation is people. I always tell people, if people didn't like the food like they do, I wouldn't do it. So I'm always motivated because of that, and also I'm an entrepreneur. So motivated to continue to build something that's significant. So it's about food, but it's not about food, right? It's about finding an audience that likes what I'm selling, which just so happens to be food. So it's always also about mastery